Hey, how's it going? Mess around with this free camp thing. Pretty cool. We're back on Lotus, and I spotted a new shop on the island. I really want to use shulker boxes this season, and someone put up a new shop with a particularly favorable deal, and I think I'm going to take advantage. It's probably more shulker shells than we could possibly use this season, but it would be really nice to just have that off the list for the rest of the season, right? Like, we just won't have to worry about collecting shulker shells ever again. It's 25 diamond blocks. So we've got 2 stacks, 32, and then I just went on a quick little excursion and got another 41 raw ore. So let's go mine up this raw ore real quick. And this should be enough to push us over the edge. Actually, let me go grab our fortune pickaxe, because obviously. And then we're gonna take a little trek over to the Mushroom Island. We're gonna buy some shulker shells. A lot of them. We should do this in the daytime. We definitely don't want to risk any surprise creeper attacks when we're mining all of the diamonds that we own in the entire world. In fact, I probably won't even go through the nether, even though it's faster, because there's no way I'm risking losing these things in a lava pool. All right, 41 raw diamond ore. Let's see how we do here. This was a pretty good mining haul. At one point I found a vein. I think it was 12 diamond ore in one cluster. It was almost like 2 specific like diamond clusters spawned right next to each other. Fortune 3, 41. Let's see how many we get. All right, and I forgot to look ahead of time. What do they have? 2 stacks of diamonds? So another 2 stacks, I think? I forget. Oops. I definitely should have made a better mental note of that. But we're up to 4 stacks, which I believe should be plenty for, I think the deal was 24 blocks. That is gonna be all but 38 of our diamonds. But again, we're gonna check shulker boxes off of our list for the season, and that seems like a win. Now, I did consider making a shulker farm this season, but honestly, if we do this, I don't know that we'll really have a good reason to. Let's make a very, very large purchase. And here it is, the shulker shop. I actually don't know what it's called. Is there a sign? Shulker shop, now open. There you go, simple. I like this like desert stone mixed with the, is that stripped birch? Looks good, I like it. I need to start using these copper trapdoors. Everyone's using them everywhere. They look super good. I keep not using them. All right, so yeah, you got your shulkers in here. I believe it's like, it's probably in here. 1 shulker for 1 diamond, or 3 shulkers for 2 diamonds. So that's a pretty good deal. But what we're here for is on this page. A one-time offer. A shulker filled with shells is up for grabs. This will produce 864 shulker boxes. That would cost 64 diamond blocks, but is now for the special price of 25 diamond blocks. Now, I'm not sure who wrote this, but I don't think that's 40% off. I think that might be 40% of the total price, but we'll take it. Hopefully that wasn't the math error on their part, because we don't have enough diamond blocks to do 40% off, but we can do 40% of 64 blocks. I did not do the math, so I'm hoping that they're not ripping us off here. I think that that's probably true, because what was the deal? If it was 3 shulkers for 2 diamonds, how does that work out? It's a lot. I don't know. I'm not doing the math. Is it 9 diamonds per block? I just think it would be fun to buy this big box, all right? 1 shulker box, completely full of shulker shells. One quick question is, where do they want their payment? Place all payments in the chest to your right. I don't see any chests to my right. Yeah, am I missing something? Is there one in the ground? Nope. We're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. 24, right? You're really, it's a huge purchase. I want to make sure I don't rip them off. 25 diamond blocks. Whew, see, there you go. Good thing I read it again. 25 diamond blocks. That is gonna leave us with 29 diamonds to our name. And there is no chest to leave these in, so I think we'll leave them a little visible present. Let's just decorate their room for them a little bit here. 25 blocks is kind of a lot. We probably need to go up higher. I actually don't even know whose shop this is. I know that, I think it was like Bison and Sim. I know there was a couple people that went on like a really serious shulker hunt. So this is probably theirs. This is like nerve-wracking. I would hate to mess up and delete a ridiculous. We're gonna immediately, shulker shells, 64. Yeah, we're gonna immediately put that in the ender chest where it's safe. There you go. 25 diamond blocks. Pretty good deal. All right. Now, what is this episode really about? Well, we're gonna make some farms. We've had a couple really buildy episodes, and I think it's time we get some, background processes in order. I want to get like a general mob farm going. I think I might do like a cobblestone generator so that we can sell stone and cobblestone in our shop. I've already kind of prepped some of these chests, as you can see. I want to sell string from the mob farm and a few other things. And then, what else? Oh, and then the big thing we're gonna build a massive gold farm. And we're gonna make it so that it auto crafts us gold blocks right from the get, so that we don't have to do that annoying thing, you like convert nuggets to ingots and then convert the ingots back into blocks. We're just gonna have this thing using the brand new auto crafters do all the work for us. But let's go back to the house and get our resources together for that, and then we're gonna do some farming. Alright, and that's our mob farm. It's a big old ugly stone box. As you can tell, we built this thing really low to the ground, which is not ideal for a mob farm, but I really want to hide this thing inside the terrain. So the lower I built it, the less hill I have to kind of build up over it to cover it over. And if we sit up there in our AFK platform and I lit up a little bit of caves, the farm still produces at a totally respectable amount, so I'm really not worried about it. It's a general mob farm. It's the one you've probably seen 1,000 times. I think this design is actually years old. I don't even know if they're really still making this kind anymore, but I like it because, I don't know, it has some redstone, but it couldn't be much simpler. I mean, it's just an observer watching another observer watching another observer, and they kind of just chain the water, pushes down the column. Mobs spawn on the platforms, it pushes them off, they fall, and they burn in some fire. I mean, it's as straightforward as it gets. I went ahead and built an item sorter on the bottom, which is super handy. And we did AFK for a while, so as you can see, we're pretty well set on materials at this point. We've got gunpowder. I left 2 rows for gunpowder because I figure that's going to be the most coveted resource. We've got 2 boxes full of string, plenty of bones. We didn't really need bones, but we have them. I did collect arrows. After these fill up, you'll see up here that it will just overflow into a little lava dump. So as soon as one of these fills up, you get a little overflow chamber over here, and this dropper just shoots it off into some lava. This last one I left open for like miscellaneous items. If I care to, I'll come in here and kind of clean out the chests. Like, you get a lot of redstone for some reason. I'm not even really sure where all this redstone's coming from, honestly. But you get the occasional spider eye, which is nice. And then some other stuff. You don't get a lot of spider eyes because I think for a spider eye to drop, you have to actually kill the spider with a, like the player has to kill them. But for some reason, we still do get the occasional one, so that's nice. And that'll be, 44 already is probably plenty to cure all the villagers we would want. This is probably just my stuff from me building it. Now I want to go do that terraforming. I've been like itching to get the area cleared. We'll come up here and look at the map. I really want to get the forest cleared and maybe start digging away at that mountain. I don't know if we'll get quite to that this episode because that's going to be a pretty big hill. It doesn't show well on this map, but this whole area right here is a pretty high elevation when you're outside. So I'd like to start carving out our forest here. We'll leave, I don't know, a few blocks, maybe like 40 blocks or something between me and Skipper. Just a nice little tree line there. He's also in a pretty small area, so I'm sure he'd appreciate the ability to expand right to his borders, which I think we've got plenty of room here. We don't really need to butt right up against him, so we'll leave just a little bit of a buffer here in trees. But we're going to cut out this whole area, and we're going to deforest the entire thing, I think, because it's just really hard to see the landscape with the trees. If we're going to delete that mountain and start covering over the mob farm with dirt, I feel like we need a good view of like what the area looks like. And it's just, see, with all these trees, it's really hard to see. Like, there's a big hole here I know about. And this mountain's actually pretty tall. Unfortunately, it's very steep faces, so it doesn't look huge on the map, but it's a decent little chunk that we'll take to dig. But we did get a beacon now, as you probably saw already. I recorded this fight, and then I don't think I included it in anything because it went terribly wrong on me, and the footage was like 2 hours long. So I fought the Wither with the underground method, and he escaped into like the biggest cavern I've ever seen in Minecraft. And it was just me flying around in a cave with rockets and trying to get a good angle on him. And man, when he starts regenning, man, the Wither, if you're not fighting the Wither cheese, he is kind of a pain in the butt, especially underground in a cavern. I almost would have rather just fought him in the air, honestly, but that is what it is. All right, we've got a lot more to do this episode, so let's start cutting down some trees until I can't take it anymore. And then we'll move on to the next farm, which is going to be a magma cube farm, because we need magma cream to make magma cubes for the gold farm, because it takes a lot of magma blocks. And I don't feel like going down to the nether floor and mining them all. So here we go. Onward and upward. The grind continues. let's cut down some trees. See you in a minute. And here it is, a magma cream farm. It's not the prettiest, it's not the biggest and the baddest, but I think it'll do fine for us. I mean, we're gonna stock some magma cubes in the shop just because we have the farm now, but I really don't see us using any more of these past the gold farm, so once that's built, this pretty much has no use anymore. But let's go down there and take a look at kind of how it works. It's pretty simple. There's like a more technical version of the farm that uses wither roses, but this is just a little baby version, so it uses sweetberry bushes. I mean, they're not effective. It kills the magma cubes really slow. That's probably like the biggest efficiency loss so far, is that these guys just don't die fast. You'll see they jump around for a long time against these sweetberry bushes before they actually die. But there's a golem in the middle that they're all wanting to try to get to, and then they just kind of jump up and down on these sweetberry bushes until they're dead. And that's kind of the whole farm. We're in a basalt delta biome, so only magma cubes can spawn here, except for gas, I should say. I built these too far apart, as you can tell. So gas can spawn in a 5x5 area, and apparently it was 5 blocks from the end of this to the wall, because I had a gas spawn right in this hole in a couple spots. So we've done some patchwork. It's no longer a very pretty farm, and I also like used half of some blocks I already had, and then didn't realize it. So it's got like deep slate in the bottom and stone on the top. It is what it is. It's another roof farm, you know? This doesn't have to be pretty. This is just function up here. Yeah. And then, you know, a little 1.21 action. We got ourselves a little auto crafter. This is actually a dropper circuit. I think most people use this for. Let's see if we have some scap. It's going off even though, I guess I don't know how my own device works. But anyway, so all this thing's doing is just giving us like a constant pulse. I know it's kind of like bad juju in the redstone community to have like a constant thing, but I just shut it off when I leave, and then you don't have a constant redstone update. But it's easier to just do this. I did find a tutorial online for a tileable auto crafter circuit, and it works great, and it was like super smart, but occasionally it would just get stuck. All the slots would fill up, and then it wouldn't craft, and then once the slots fill up, you no longer get a new tick. So then the slots just fill all the way up to 64, and the whole thing plugs up and stops. So we had to settle for this kind of more rudimentary version, and then, you know, we just gotta remember to turn it off and on whenever we're here. So you get magma cream from the magma cubes. There's a little cart collection hopper underneath here. Just kind of runs around underneath where the iron golem is, collects up all the magma cream, shoots up here. This is a fun circuit. I've never really used mine carts before. You have this circuit up here, right? And what it'll do is if there's anything in this hopper, it'll shut off this powered rail. So if there's something in the minecart when it comes up, it'll drop it, right? And as soon as it drops it, boom, this thing shuts off completely, and the minecart will stay until it's empty. It's definitely not my circuit. I'm not smart enough to come up with something like that, but it's pretty handy. Okay, Magma Cream Farm. Whew. I said this is the farming episode, and I was not lying. We've got our general mob farm. We've got our magma cream farm. Now we got to build the gold farm. Actually, first, before we talk about the gold farm, let's go take a look at the terraforming, because we did cut down a bunch of trees, and I meant to kind of check in between then and now, but, you know, sometimes you just get on a groove and you kind of don't really realize what you're doing and forget to record segments, so I didn't really show you guys what the final product of cutting down the trees was, so let's run back over to the base real quick and we'll take a look at that. Alright, so here's the progress so far. We might cut down a little wider, I don't know. I think I want to get all of the landscaping done in this clearing first. We have to be really careful, right, because I just took a whole bunch of fall damage getting up here, if you can't tell. The thing is we don't want to go too big and just make something we can't even manage to get done in the season reasonably, right? So originally I had this plan to do like a multi-base where we would have a bunch of different elements around the base. But I think the more I think about it, I kind of want to just do a city. And maybe that's a little too one note, and we can find ways to like fit cool builds into it. Like it can be a city, but then like some old wood tavern made its way in the middle of it or something. We'll get creative with it. But I want to do like city roads, and I want to do some skyscrapers. I want to make like a subway station to connect to Mefurt's train station, and I don't know, I want to play in that world for a while. It's not really a build style I've ever really played with, so I really want to do it. I mean, if we start getting bored of it, whatever, you know, we'll move over slightly or fly off into the distance and do a different style. But I think for now, this is a pretty big area that we've cleared. I don't know if you can remember the beforehand. Actually, we'll go take a look at the map after this and update the map, because I'm sure the map looks a lot different now. So once we get these hills out of here, this is going to be a nice big flat area. I mean, it's going to be a lot of digging. I'm glossing over it, but once these hills are out of here, these are massive hills to tear down, and it's probably going to take a whole episode just to terraform this area, but we've been doing a lot of terraforming lately, so we're getting pretty good at it. All right, let's go look at the map and see what the clearing actually looks like after the fact. All right, I'm not a heavy map user, so I don't know, do you have to be in the zone? So this one, obviously we're in the zone, so we can just look at it. Oh yeah, you can already tell it's, look at the, yeah. So we've done a pretty big area. So let's see, will this one auto update or do we have to go over there? No, it auto updates, perfect, okay. So yeah, we've cleared a huge area here. So our claimed zone at the beginning of the season actually went probably another, I don't know, 100 blocks or so back here. But I think I want to leave this like chunk, and no one has claimed this area either. I think Slip is like over here somewhere, and I don't think he plans on going past the river, but we'll leave some coastline there just in case he does, I guess. But we've got this huge area here which no one's really claimed, and I technically didn't highlight it as part of my bubble, but I don't think anyone's gonna mind if I just kind of move this way some. Skipper's up here, so we don't want to go too far that way, but we've got plenty of room this way. But for now, I think this is our general area for our city. Or at least the start of it, right? We can always expand later, as I said. We can't expand up. We can expand back, and that's enough for me, I guess. So yeah, that's the plan. We've got a lot of work and a lot of elbow grease between us and there, but I think that is a good start. Or at least it's a good, you know, plan for now. We're not committed to anything here. We can always change our minds at any point, so that's what we're gonna do. But this is the farming episode, so we're on to the next farm. Let me get a barrel, get some shulker boxes, and start gathering some resources for this gold farm, and then we build our last farm of the episode. Alright, it's finally time. And we're mixing it up. This time, we're gonna go live on YouTube. I've done some thinking, and I think it just makes more sense to keep everything here. It's where you guys are, it's easier to access the VODs. I don't know. I'm not gonna be a professional streamer. I don't have time for that. I think it just makes sense to keep everything in one place. So yeah, we're keeping the streams here, but we're gonna go live. We're gonna build a really big gold farm. You've probably seen this one before. It's like a big donut shape, and then you kind of stand in the middle and the piglins come from all around you. The only difference we're doing here is we made a bunch of auto-crafters and observers and pistons and comparators. We're gonna try to auto-craft our nuggets into ingots and then craft those ingots into gold blocks. So not only are we building a giant gold farm, we're gonna automate it, because I just really hate that tedious, like, grab an inventory full of nuggets, make it into bars, grab an inventory full of nuggets, make it into bars. This thing is just gonna spit out solid gold blocks for us to deal with, which is gonna be amazing. Gathered all the glass, we've gathered all the magma buckets, all the little its and bits and pieces. We even needed snow for this one, a bunch of other weird little blocks, a bunch of grindstones, a whole ton of hoppers. I think it's like 3 stacks of hoppers. Whew. But now all that's left to do is to build it. Let's get to it. So what do you think? Are you guys farmed out yet? Ooh-wee. We have been farming. I really forgot. I mean, I've built this farm before. Also, this is free cam, if you couldn't tell. I need to use this more. It's so handy. I should use it for like, just for myself when I'm like building and getting like good angles to see what I'm working on, but it's also fun just to use it for a camera, right? Yeah, this took a long time. And I knew it took a long time because I built this thing before, but it took longer than I remember. But I also had a lot more free time in those days and 2 less children. But we did it. 3 full layers. Thank you, Rad. Rad helped me tear down. So we originally had built actually like a starter gold farm in this area, and it wasn't good. I don't think I ever even showed it on camera, but it got us some initial XP and some initial gold to cure our villagers, but this one is much, much better, and thanks, Rad, for helping me tear that thing down. I did accidentally throw my pickaxe into the lava while we were doing it, so that was unfortunate, but we still saved a lot of time having 2 people break down that, you know, eyesore. Not that this one's beautiful. This is a pretty standard design. I'm sure you've seen it before if you've ever seen someone like do a gold farm, but you shoot a piglin, and then there's piglins out here on boats, or actually they're on minecarts, I should say, and they're named so they won't despawn, and they just stay mad at you. So even when new piglins spawn, they're still mad at you. And then beneath them, there's hoppers, or I should say there's hopper minecarts that pull all of the gold nuggets down here into our little system below, which I'll show here in a second. Inside of these little like corners, if I can be careful, because they can actually kind of hit you here. There's 24 minecarts there, so that all the piglins are dying to is cramming damage, they call it. The Minecraft won't let you have like 25 enemies in one spot, otherwise they just start dying. You put a bunch of minecarts in there, and then as soon as a piglin falls, he starts taking damage. Ouch. See, you gotta be careful. It's not the safest thing once you have it running to go near the edges, but that's all. I mean, that's the whole farm. It's really just a bunch of spawning platforms. It's not a super complicated farm, it's just big. It's just such a big area, and so many magma blocks. You definitely want Frostwalker on your boots. Frostwalker lets you walk on magma cubes without taking damage, and that is absolutely huge. Alright, so that's the standard. I didn't come up with any of this. Just go look up a gold farm tutorial, you'll find this one. But down here below is my abomination of redstone. So you have sorters underneath each, because there's 4 different drop locations. If I did this again, I probably would do the tower style gold farms that kind of, all the piglins fall down one segment, rather than having them fall at 4 separate locations. Because they fall at 4 locations, and like everything jams up if you try to hopper it together, so I have to do 4 separate sorting systems, which is not ideal. There's probably smarter ways to do it, and maybe there's enough throughput on the hoppers if I had it in one spot, but I feel like they would plug up. So I separated it into 4 identical circuits, essentially. So you got a sorter. I'm doing 2 rows of gold nuggets just in case. Again, I just really didn't want this thing to get backed up. So you got a couple rows of gold nuggets, and then you can occasionally get golden ingots from them, so I wanted to be able to get those as well. And then I think I even left rotten flesh in a couple just in case someone wanted some for like clerics or something, but we're really not going to use that stuff. The real meat and potatoes of this farm is down even further. So these nuggets get sorted out, and they don't ever go into a chest, they just go straight into these little crafters. This circuit's a little bit different than the circuit down on the magma cube farm. This one actually checks to see if there's anything in there. If there's anything in here, oh, look at that, we found one that was messed up. I'm glad I clicked on that. When I was setting up all the filters, I let some stuff slide through and wasn't super careful. Yeah, see, like this shouldn't be in here. But this one is the way it's supposed to work, whereas you get a gold nugget in here, we can get some like this. And as long as there's like as long as there's 1 nugget in here, you get a constant pulse. So again, it's not the best design. There's technically a way you can put another crafting box here, or like a composter, and you can do, again, I'm not a redstone guy, but you can do a comparator and subtraction mode against one of these, and then it won't have enough signal to actually shoot like a loop until this thing is mostly full at least, whereas this one, it's just as soon as there's anything in here, it's enough signal to try to pulse it. But it technically will stop pulsing if you like empty both of these. So that's pretty much never on this farm, so it is kind of a nightmare in terms of flashing redstone, but it's up on the nether roof in the middle of nowhere, so whatever. But yeah, as soon as you have a nugget back in there, you know, it's chaos again, so that is what it is. We'll come up with a better design later, maybe, but honestly, it works, so I'm not going to mess with it. Down here again, so this is the circuit I just talked about. So this one, I actually had to do this because golden ingots can craft a few different things, right? So if you have 2 ingots in here, they can craft a pressure plate, I think. Yeah. So there's a gold pressure plate that's 2 ingots. So if you get 2 ingots and then you get a pulse, it'll actually craft pressure plates, which we don't want that. And a single gold ingot can break down into gold nuggets, and you don't want that either. So this essentially just cancels out a bunch of that signal so that this thing can't go off until it's almost full. It's technically not the perfect amount because it goes off at 7, or it goes off at what, 8 instead of 9. But at that point, there's nothing else gold ingots can craft, so it's okay if it starts pulsing a little bit early. And then finally, down here at the bottom, you get gold blocks, which we've already gotten like 5 stacks of gold blocks. I just already brought them back to the base. So it totally works. Apparently, it's only working at 3/4 capacity since one of our things up there is messed up, but it is what it is. We've got enough gold and gold nuggets that we'll ever need. But honestly, I built this farm for the experience because there's pretty much nothing better in terms of just raw experience than a gold farm, which is probably not developer intended, but it's the reality. So we can just come in here with our tools after we dig something or do a big project, and like, you'll watch, I'll be able to go through this whole hotbar real quick. I mean, my tools aren't exactly broken right now, but I can just kind of flick through my hotbar and then bang, all my stuff's repaired up. Everything I was wearing is repaired up, and we're good to go. So yeah, this is mostly just to AFK and repair our tools and stuff. We will use some gold. I don't know. I know that someone else has already built a gold farm on the server, and it's probably better than this one, so they might sell gold. If they don't, I guess we can sell gold. I'll sell it if people want to, but I also want to give that other person a chance to sell it, because it seems like, you know, I think they built a whole piglin bartering system on theirs too, where it like kicks the gold out and automatically trades it as well, so I think they've got big plans, and I don't want to steal their thunder with my little, you know, knockoff gold farm. But yeah, we cleared a bunch of trees, we've got plans for the future. Yeah, this is it's been a different episode. I know we don't have any pretty builds to show for it, and, you know, not a lot of new progress on the base. I mean, those trees getting cleared honestly took me like 4 hours, so it was a good thing to get done. It doesn't really like, it doesn't pop like a nice pretty build on the landscape, but it's something that needs to get done, and it's just kind of the reality of these situations. What other stuff have we done? Oh, yeah, it's been a long time, by the way. It's been several days since I recorded anything, so we're a little bit in the future here, and I saw an Etho video this morning, actually, that used these dispensers, and it turns out if you do 4 dispensers, and you put a pressure plate in the middle, it will simultaneously activate all 4 of these, right? And you can do a quad wind charge, and these things are like the ultimate launch pads. And I'm going to be putting these all over the server to sell wind charges. Because a couple things. It uses 4 wind charges every time, which isn't really a lot, really, because, I mean, how often are you jump padding out of your base, right? You're only going to use it when you're taking off to go somewhere. That gives you 64 trips somewhere, right? If you filled it up with, I mean, you can fill a lot more than 64, but if you put a stack in each one, 64 trips out of your base is a lot. So, but I do think that people are going to like them, and I do think they'll need to buy wind charges. So I think I see sales going up in the near future in our little wind charge shop. Got our little drop chute there into our slime block for no fall damage. Yeah, we're starting to get a little fancy in the base. We did also build that cobblestone farm that I was talking about. However, I think there's something about logging in or logging out or doing something. Somehow I was AFK in here, and the cobblestone farm was running, and I didn't shut it off, which I always shut it off every time I've used it before that. But I was just like in a rush to do something, so I logged out with it still running. And someone else came through the area and loaded the chunks, and it detonated itself. I'm not sure why. There's no reason it should have been able to destroy itself still. The only thing I can think is like, somehow like the chunk was loaded only enough for the TNT and not the, I don't know what happened. Some kind of update error, and boom, it blew itself up. So we don't have a cobblestone generator anymore. I might rebuild it, I might not, I don't know. No one's even bought any yet, so for now, honestly, I'm probably just gonna leave it alone. Oh, I destroyed the wall down here too. This was just a big empty box before. We do have some chests full of cobblestone because it did run while I was AFK, so I guess we're set there for a little while. And we had actually started smelting some of it down in our super smelter into stone. Somewhere here, yeah. So we've got a bunch of shulkers full of stone already. In case someone decided to buy some, I wanted to have some prepped, but no one's bought any yet, so it doesn't really matter. We also built this, the last farm of the episode. I told you there might be one more. Cactus farm. It's a cactus farm. You've got cactuses on sand, and when they grow, they can't grow next to a wall. So if they grow up 1 block and that fence post is next to them, it automatically breaks it. The cactuses flow down here. This little stream brings them down and drops them in the hopper. And there you go. Cactus farm. People usually build these a lot bigger, with like many layers, but we don't need that much green dye, and I don't see us needing any in the future. And again, the beauty of having all these farms in our base is they kind of just always run, right? A very productive episode. Even if we didn't make any cool builds or do anything fancy, I feel good about it because all of this stuff is going to enable us to do cool stuff in the future. The more we can be efficient now, the bigger and bolder we can build in the future, and that's going to be a good thing. But I have been farming like crazy, and I'm tired. So that's all I have time for today. You made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.